Everybody, we gonna put on the show. Nigga, I ain't done yet, I gotta put on some more. Nigga, how you gonna breathe with a foot on your throat? Ask about Benz, got the hood on choke. I don't see shit funny, I'm good on you, joke. Heard it was up, my hood on go. Nigga, how you gonna breathe with a foot on your throat? Yeah, pop out for perk and I get out my body. I'm tryna sleep at the car with my gun, and little motherfucker fit in my pocket. We fired up the blunt and got kicked out the party. Put it out, that shit ain't exotic. The shit talking, that shit make me hotter. Turn me up, make me get out my body. Turn me up, make me get out my body. Go.
The primary purpose of the CAF podcast is to express platform for creatives to express their personal views or opinions without restriction or censorship. All views or opinions expressed during the CAF podcast are solely those of individuals expressing such views or opinions and does not reflect the views of the CAF podcast.
That I can't stop.
Well, I mean, I know this, but I mean, I was just looking at you. First of all, let me just say this. When I saw that you said when you deal with politics, I was like, oh my God, this is right on time. And then I guess that's
That's the
life,
day job.
your life after dark or whatever. It's like it's a mixture of both. So let me do it like this. Season 8 Cal podcast, man. We back with another special in between episodes of our season. I'm gonna keep saying this, like this podcast has a true meaning because we reach out to people, but every now and then you find a diamond in the bush, and I promise you, shout out to hold on, let me give her props because she tagged us, Miss Lady Aspen, which I hope you watching this because you definitely got to get on the podcast. But she reached out and said somebody was looking to do a podcast. I was like, hey, if he available, we ready. So now I asked him to give me 3 things to introduce him, but since he didn't give him, I'm gonna let him introduce himself. So the floor is yours.
Hey y'all, surplus writer, professional dom, and just all around curious person.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Surplus to the Cal Podcast. Sir, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm glad to be here and appreciate the invite.
Man, I appreciate you getting on. And I'm gonna say this now. When you hit me up and say this is what you do, and then you said you also talk about politics, I like this is right on time because we just had a debate.
Yep.
We're gonna get to that, but it's so much other stuff because we've been dealing with a whole bunch of I want to say, let's just say sex work, fetishes, kinks,
Right.
stuff going on. And people, I did one with Miss Bodacious Beauty.
Oh, shout out to her.
Yeah, like I reached out to her. She was down. Man, let me tell you something. That's right now. That was one of our biggest videos during the summer, and that got us like people was actually interested. It was asking more questions, and I'm like, I don't know. This ain't my world. I just provide the conversation. But so we're gonna get into a lot of stuff tonight. If you got the time, I'm here. But if you gotta get off, hey, don't worry. We can always do a part 2.
Nah, I got time. Let's get it.
All right. So the first question we asked her is we stole this question from Charlamagne the Guy from the Breakfast Club. How is your mental health?
You know what, man? It has been good. I've talked about this on the page before. Like I've struggled off and on with depression and anxiety for probably since I was a kid. But these days, like stuff is good. Off medication for right now. Don't know if I'll be off forever, but like for right now, like it's good and I'm loving that.
Okay. Yeah, because man, I think the pandemic and then everybody, couldn't go outside and we just checking on people because, it was a lot of people who did commit suicide. There's a lot of people who went through a depression because, some people, they was inside by themselves. They had nobody to talk to. So human interaction, like, is big. So we always going to ask that question.
100. Yeah, I did like 16 months of therapy during the pandemic, man. It was a good reset point for me.
Well, shoot, you lead me right to my first question. I was going to get to that. But dealing with therapy, why do you think a lot of Black men don't go to therapy?
So I tell people, man, first I gotta start with a little bit of backstory, and that I was privileged in this area that therapy was always something that was normalized in my house. So I think that the short
Okay.
answer is that a lot of people don't see it as they don't see it as an alternative. Like my mother went to therapy when my parents got divorced. So like I did play therapy at like 2. Like I'm 2 years old, like just doing blocks or something like that. So I grew up with therapy as an option and not as like a last resort sort of thing. So I've been at multiple points of my life from, damn near birth up to now. I got a therapist now. But I think a lot of folks, like as they say, you can't be what you can't see. So it's not really talked about, or not talked about a lot growing up. In some households, it's cost prohibitive. So it's expensive. And it's just not something that a lot of people have seen to even think about. But I'm loving now that it is talked about more and more people are going and talking openly about it. But I think a lot of it is just like it's just the exposure, honestly.
Yeah, because I honestly, like, when I hear therapy, and this is before, like, I really knew what therapy was. It was for the crazy people. If you was going through something, I mean, I was told real simple: pray to God. So
Yeah.
just to actually go down and sit with somebody and actually, because I did therapy 3 times, and the lady, it just wasn't hitting. So I'm looking for another therapist.
Yeah,
So,
it
but
takes a while.
I'm really looking for a black person. Like I had I'm gonna say Korean, but it wasn't just hitting for me, and I was like, I gotta find something better.
Yeah, I got a dope black therapist now that I found on through Psychology Today. So like if there's like some specific things that you could work on, like you could like punch that into to Google. So like right now I got like a really dope kinky and poly black therapist like that I found on the internet.
What's up? That's what's up. Now you said it in your intro, and I'm just gotta ask, what is a dom?
In the simplest of terms, man, for folks who are not in this lifestyle, you are essentially a kinky life coach. So you are somebody that's there to provide structure, to provide discipline, to provide accountability for somebody that has entrusted you to lead them and to guide them. So it's essentially you're a kinky life coach, for lack of a better term.
Well, let's start from the beginning, because how did you get started in this? I guess kink work or fetish work. I don't know the proper terms to say.
It goes back well before I think I was calling myself kinky. I think a lot of kinky folks will tell you like it's kind of got started when they were kids. And I'm no different from that. Like I was always as a kid, like I was curious. I like to know things. I remember having this book as a kid called like How Things Work. And I think when I discovered like sex and sexuality, that curiosity extended to like wanting to know how things worked to wanting to know how people worked. So even as like a high school kid, it was like if I do this, will it get X reaction or can I do this other thing better? And that naturally kind of bled over into the kink. But essentially, when I was in graduate school, I wrote my master's thesis on internet porn, and I needed something to write about for the semester. And ended up like stumbling on BDSM as a topic, and
Just announced to the world that you do poetry. So we just took your pussy
Doing
straight
it.
up. You welcome, ho.
Oh, you say, oh, let's see.
that kind of like sent me down this rabbit hole. And the intellectual side of what we do um, was really like the driver. Again, like I like to learn, and there was just a whole bunch of different things to learn. So I read for years and years and years before I ever did anything. And then around 13, I think I was on like OkCupid and met somebody and they were like, hey, I'm kind of into this. Or I want to explore this. And I was like, well, I kind of want to explore this too. And then we dove in together. So I kept at it. In terms of the professional work, that started probably about a year and a half ago. Because I used to do just kind of scenes or private sessions for folks for free. And I did one for somebody and they were like, well, how much? And I was kind of
That's all it
puzzled because
took.
I had never thought
That's,
about it. Right. I was
that's
like,
all it
how
took.
much what?
That's all it took.
Yeah, it was one time. It was like, how much? I was like, I don't charge. And the response was, you should. And they basically like I was like forced to name a price. So like did that and it just kind of went from there. And that was sort of the affirmation. That was the affirmation that I needed to kind of make the jump.
Make sure y'all go follow him on Instagram at the1surplus, and you can see everything that I saw and everything he talked about. So make sure y'all go follow him on Instagram. Let me ask this question because I'm learning more that this is just not. At first, I thought this type of stuff was only for white people,
Mm-hmm.
and now I'm learning like it's a bigger community in our community, but it's one of them things where it's kept hush hush until I guess unless somebody like yourself who posts that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm learning that black folks we do it all.
We definitely do. And I think part of that, man, that stigma that this is like, quote unquote white people shit is because of how BDSM or kink has been practiced in the mainstream. And it is always kind of associated, I'd be frank, with violence or just aggression or
Yeah.
pain or discomfort. A lot of us think about folks getting whipped and chained
Yep.
and
Yep.
that takes us back to, chattel slavery times. But the way there's a wide spectrum, so I'm not gonna say that you can't do any of that stuff. And there are some black folks that are into the slavery aspect of things. There are some black folks that really like pain. I know black folks that use whips. I know black folks that like to be whipped as well. But at the same time, kink for us can also be super liberatory. It can be very sensual. It can be very healing as well. So it's all in what you want that experience to be.
When you first got into it, was it something like I found what I found something? Well, I found something that opened me up, or was just one of those things like I walked through a door and I was like, I think I might like this.
So I liked it. I was always one of those folks that was like, for a very long time, like kink and sex were intertwined for me. There was no kind of one without the other. So kink was something that I did in the bedroom for a very long time. And it wasn't until so I like the play aspect of it. And it wasn't until a couple years ago when I started really finding community here and community of black folks here that I started to decouple sex from kink and started doing kink for the sake of kink with no sex involved as well. And like um, that expanded my mind and opened up a lot of the possibilities.
That's crazy, Ms. Valdez. She said the same thing. She said it's times now where she just want to get spanked, and that'll do it for her.
Yeah.
Like it's like I guess y'all I guess when y'all find what you like, it's just something different. But it gives you I guess it gives you what you need
Yeah.
to feel I wouldn't even say a fantasy. It's probably an itch.
It's an itch, and it heightens the senses. But this is also a place where you can get your needs met without the expectation that you need to reciprocate. And like particularly for women, man, you can come into this space and for men as well, for everybody really. You can come into this space because so often as black folks, um, we aren't asked what we want. Our yeses aren't necessarily respected. Our no's aren't necessarily respected either. You get to come into this space. You get to say exactly what you want to happen to you. You get to say what you don't want to happen to you. You get to advocate for yourself. And it's just a beautiful thing when that happens.
All right, so I gotta ask you,
Yeah.
what is the most craziest thing that you've done to somebody and that's been done to you?
Ooh, it's crazy is relative. I've probably seen a lot more stuff that I would consider crazy only because I don't do it. Everything feels super normal to me. But I think um outside
Okay,
outside
so let me put it like this.
yeah.
Me and my listeners, we vanilla.
Okay.
Give us some Rocky Road.
I say it's probably two different things. So like I've gotten into fire play over the last couple of months. So it's something that I've had done to me, it's something that I've had done to other people, but it's essentially, you take a wand, douse it in like some 70% alcohol, you light it, you can, tap it across somebody's body, you can drag it across somebody's body. It is the feeling essentially of getting a warm massage, essentially is what I would say. And I think the other thing that I think that outside of that I've done to somebody, I know a couple of folks that are kind of into electro play, so I've got a little wand that generates some electricity.
Wow.
And that feels, I would say, at a low level, kind of that sensation that you get if you touch like something metal and kind of get that like static shock.
Learn something new every day. Like that stuff I be seeing on like Pornhub and stuff. Like you be thinking like that just play. Like nah, these people out here really doing that stuff. Okay, all right, let's keep it moving. So the real reason I really wanted you on because one, what you do, and you're a black man, and you hear like when black men start tapping and stuff like that, the first word that come out is he must be gay on the low. So for the black guy who out there who's gonna watch this and he's like, yo, I want to tell my girl this is what I want to do, but I don't know how to approach it. What advice would you give to that black man?
Oh, this is tough, man. I mean, for me, because this is such a big part of my life, and I'm so open about talking about it now. I think it's one of those things where you got to decide whether your your pleasure is more important than the relationship because it's a risk, like for sure. You could definitely have that conversation, and it doesn't go well. So you could approach it from the negative, or you could approach it from the positive. And it's is what if things do work out, and what if things do go well? And I'm somebody that thinks that everybody has a right to their pleasure. Because again, so often we are denied like these experiences, but I think it's a simple conversation. It's like, hey, babe, I saw this on X site. What do you think about this? There are or if you're afraid to bring it up directly and say I'm into this, there are some like yes, no, maybe list that you could download online. And y'all can take those together and see where y'all land on stuff.
Have I don't know if you date, in a relationship, but has there been like something that in previous relationships you have brought up, or it's just like right, you just been doing your own thing?
Uh, in terms of how I talk to people about this,
Or if you're dating somebody, like you let them know, hey, listen, I
100%.
mean, oh, okay.
Yeah, this
Like
is
I got my 9 to 5, but when I get off, hit them
yeah.
blinds, pull them whips out.
I've always been like an open person. The thing that has changed is it recently especially now is like when that disclosure comes. So I like to let people know up front, like this is what I'm into, or I'm kinky. Like, how does that sit with you? And their answers will tell me everything that I need to know about that interaction moving forward. And I tell folks all the time, I don't necessarily need a partner that is kinky. Like, that's not mandatory, but it is mandatory that you respect that I am.
Hmm. Is it hard, like, because being in that world, like you say you're down, but when you are talking to somebody, is it hard, like just meeting somebody that's actually for you?
Uh, Not necessarily for that reason. Like I wasn't. like I wasn't out here again. I wasn't out here calling myself a dominant until somebody told me they wanted to be my submissive. This, as I tell people, this was something that found me. I was kinky, but I was what they would call a top. So it was just more kind of the play aspect of the lifestyle, which I've been into for over a decade. But in terms of like walking around and meeting people in regular life, I answer the questions, but I'm not out here like searching for submissives. It's not mandatory that somebody, if like they want to be my partner, they have to be my sub. Like I have the host of other interests, so this is one aspect of life. It's a big one. But it's just one aspect of life, and I'm not out here like demanding that people submit to me or anything like that.
All right. I saw your shirt. It said Global Thought. So that just brings me to my next question.
Hmm.
Sir, have you been flued out to come do your thing to somebody else?
I've taken some trips. I
My
haven't.
man been flued out. Let's just
Yeah,
yep.
I also got to shout out Jax, founder of DC Cuddle Club, for the shirt, for the Globe Dotting shirt.
Man, I was looking. I'm like Glove, okay, but then you did something. You sound like, oh, okay. I gotta ask. I gotta ask. Have you been flued out to do your thing?
Not specifically for that. I've gotten places and I've had my stuff with me, and like I went to somebody's birthday party and they asked for a demo, but I was going there anyway. It was a friend's birthday party, so gave a little demonstration. So that was cool.
So you've done live shows, or let me put it like this: have you done tutorials to actually show people the actual do? Because one of your videos, it was you, another woman, and another woman, and you just kept whooping this. Well, I don't know if you can say that like that, but you just kept whap, 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 and it was in like 3 different camera angles. One this way, it was one from the ceiling, and it was one from the side.
Oh yeah, that was so I used to I was in Jamaica actually, matter of fact, with a former
Blew it
partner.
out.
We used to co-top together. But yeah, no, I'm not so much of
Okay, I got to stop you there. Co-top.
yeah,
When I hear the lingo, I'm gonna stop you with this.
my
So what is
bad.
co-top?
Co-top is you and another person topping, which is like doing the things. If you're a top, you are the person doing the things. If you're a bottom, you're the person receiving the things, whatever the things are, whatever the things are that you all negotiate.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it was myself and a former partner of mine co-topping somebody else. But on the performance aspect, I don't consider myself much of a performer so much as I am more teacher, coach. Like I'm more interested, as if people are entertained and they want to watch, I think that's fine. I am more interested, particularly as more people find out about this lifestyle, that they have some reputable sources of information, and that they're doing the stuff safely. And I
Yeah.
tell people all the time, like, why should you want to do this stuff safely? Like, because you might die is, literally a reason to learn how to do this stuff and learn how to do it properly. People have died from choking. You can severely harm somebody with fire or electricity or a flogger or your hand if you don't know what you're doing. So I'm more on the safety aspect than than the entertainment part of it.
And that's another reason I want you on, because it's a lot of people who want to get into this, but they think just how they see it is I mean, how they see it and like that's how I got to do it, not knowing it's a method to the magic.
Absolutely.
And don't get me wrong, I know some freaky stuff we're gonna talk about, some crazy stuff we're gonna talk about, but at the end of the day, with this podcast, we just try to be knowledgeable to people. Like, hey, if you do want to get down, reach out to, let me say Instagram again, the one surplus, and actually get some information. I'm pretty sure it's not one of the things where, hey, send me $10 and I give you information. You probably would like, well, make sure you got this, make sure you do this, all this and that and that and that, and just to make sure that when you do it, it's safe, but more important, pleasurable for you and your mate.
Yeah, I mean, I would be more than happy to walk folks through stuff, more than happy to coach people, more than happy to refer some folks out, depending on the area. You know, there are folks that have coaching programs, so like the information is out there. So there is, you know, there's almost no excuse for not finding a teacher or a mentor. And again, I cannot stress this enough. Like, because you might die, is reason enough to learn. But outside of that, like, these are also, you know, for lack of a better term, these is felonies in 50 states and the District of Columbia. So like you might beat the case, but you know why when you don't have to. So like this is there is definitely some very real danger to all of this if you don't know what you're doing.
Sir, what is your favorite toy that you use
Ooh,
the most? Because I got to
fuck,
get to the freaky stuff just in case, because I know it's a certain young lady watching this.
mm.
She's real quiet. She's one of the quiet ones, but she's so nasty. So nasty. So I know she's going to love this. So what is your favorite toy that you use when you on your dominant mode?
I love to flog people. And that is usually when if I'm doing impact play on somebody, particularly if it's their first time. Flogging is one of the first things that I do because there's so
Right.
many
You
different
got to break that
things.
down. Got to break that down for us who don't know. Remember, we vanilla over here.
Yeah. So flogger is essentially it's got a handle, and then it's got what you would call tails on the end. So your tails can be made out of anything. There are, you know, paracord floggers, which are super hard. There are fur floggers. I got a necktie flogger, you know,
Necktie
deerskin,
flogger.
leather, basically any type of fabric that can be cut into essentially like kind of stringy material you could use to flog somebody with. I've flogged somebody with roses before, so
I'm pretty sure there's a video out there somewhere that I probably want to look at, and I probably should look. I'm just being honest. I'm the curious one. So, uh, that's just, woo, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot. Now, let me ask you this, because you are a big man in the world that you is in. And I'm gonna go back to it. Do men approach you about doing stuff, or that just automatic no?
you know what, man? I had one guy approach me about some stuff, and then I realized I was not as much about that life as I thought I was. I did like I referred out. I always refer somebody out if I can't do anything. But I think for me, because there are a lot of folks that dominate men. For me, I am not limited to, but my primary focus is on Black women. And I talk about this on my Instagram page as well, but just because again, there's so few times in life where we get folks who are catering to our needs. And outside of that, you know, as a woman, you come to me, you get your needs catered to, and there's no expectation that you got to reciprocate sexually. And there are just so few spaces for that. So that's like kind of the lane that I choose to occupy right now.
Why, like, speaking of what you like, why do you think Black women don't confess what they want sexually? Like, why don't they just like? Don't, everybody don't want to go to pound time.
Right.
Some people just want to be, or let me say this: some women just want fellatio.
Mhm.
Some women want to give fellatio. Some women just want to do this and that. Hell, that. Why do you think that they are not more open about it? Because you said in this world you got to tell us what you want. If not, you're not gonna get what you want.
It's not like where else are these things? Where else are we taught to advocate for ourselves in any sort of situation, right? And that's one of the reasons that I love kink and I love BDSM, is because again, as you said, you got to come in here and say exactly what you want. You got to talk about your desires, clearly articulate your yeses, clearly articulate your nos. But we don't learn to have those conversations. in too many other spaces. And one of the things that I tell people all the time is that kink is a transferable skill, because if you can come in with me and negotiate spanking and like some fire play, or allow me to drag a knife across your body or something like that, you can go to your boss and ask for the raise. You could tell somebody that you don't like the thing that they did to you, and have a conversation about that.
I got a couple more questions and we're gonna get off this. So, why do you think in our community, dealing with the black men and women, just
Mhm.
in general, why do you think we talk more about this? Because once again, you said somebody asked you to be their dom, but it's probably other people out there, or hopefully for those who go watch us on YouTube, there's gonna be more women out there like, I want him to be my dom. So why do you think in our community we just don't just say, hey, look, it's a whole world out there. What do
Yeah.
you really want?
This is one of those things, man. All things like sex and sexuality are one of those things, like old school mentality, that we have been taught to kind of keep private, in spite of what we see in pop culture or anything else. And you could look on Instagram right now.
Right
Somebody
now,
somebody come out as
sir,
gay,
Shannon,
trans, or something like that.
Shannon just got caught on live.
Right. And what are people gonna say? Why do we need to know this? We don't need to see this.
Yeah,
It don't matter what the topic is. So, like, again, we aren't encouraged to have these conversations. We are encouraged to keep them in, for lack of a better term, we're encouraged to keep them in the closet. And for something like this, that leads to actually more adverse outcomes. Because there are so many people out here who, again, are ashamed to feel this way. Um, so when they might meet somebody who is super predatory, and because you've kept this on the hush, you meet somebody that's into this as well, they can tell you anything, and have you out here anywhere, because you don't know the questions to ask, you don't know who to talk to, so you don't know how stuff is supposed to go or not. So, like, the silence here, particularly when we're talking about power exchange, and giving up your power and dominance and submission, and doing things where you could get hurt, it's just super important to talk openly and often about this, so you don't fall victim to folks who don't know what they're doing.
do you get like random DMs from like random people? You're like, hey, sir, what is this? What is that? Like, how do you do this? Is this and that?
Every now and then, it's one reason that I started kind of doing more educational videos versus like just play. I'm like, I've long accepted I'm like the advice and the random fat guy in my crew. Like, if you're
Okay.
on like Millionaire or something and you need to phone a friend, like, I would be the person that people usually call. Yeah, so people just started asking me for stuff, and asking for advice. So I started, kind of cataloging some of these things, and making videos, and people liked it, which is it always blows my mind. But I'm thankful and grateful that people see me as somebody that they can talk to.
Then the last one, I mean, well, you kind of answered, but I'm just gonna go a little bit deeper. Do you have black men who come to you on the phone and ask you questions?
All the time, man. We have a really there are really dope communities of black kinky folks in the Northeast area of this country, DC or DMV area. We have a really dope area. I meet new people. We have a monthly event out here at our dungeon that's just for black folks. I meet
My
new folks
man said a
every month.
dungeon. A
Yeah.
dungeon. So it is really real when you hear the word dungeon. Okay. I'm not gonna go too deep because I know my co-host, she would love to talk about this, but she couldn't make it, so I'm gonna have to bring you back. So,
Happy to
but we
come
are
back.
gonna, yeah, we're gonna switch gears because we are in election season.
Yep.
First question I'm gonna ask you, and let me just say this preference.
Okay.
On here, we don't judge. So
Okay.
if you are with a certain candidate, go for it. All I ask is just to be respectful to everybody's opinion. Because we're
Mhm.
gonna open up and listen to you. If you feel
Okay.
this type of way, hey, go for it. We don't ram our candidate down your throat, just don't ram it down ours.
Okay.
how did you feel before she became the nominee? How did you feel about the election process and period?
Listen, man, it was it. I'm a voter. I grew up. I think I voted in every presidential election since I've been 18 years of age. So this is just something that we do in my household. I vote in the primaries. I vote in general. So like, I was gonna be there regardless. I'm not always excited about it, and I've said to people before. I feel for folks who their first election was like Barack Obama. Like you came in and it was like a generational talent.
Yeah.
You had somebody that you were excited about. My first presidential election was John Kerry. So it was, 2004, first time I got to vote, like, yeah, John Kerry and George Bush. So like it's not always gonna be um the exciting candidate that lights you on fire. But candidly, I was very anxious. Still anxious going into this, but January to July, I was super anxious about the direction of the country. Biden dropped out, and it was like VP Harris caught lightning in a bottle. And I'm not so much excited personally. I am excited to see other people excited about this process, and I love seeing folks kind of getting formation, and I love seeing folks just engaged and activated, because that wasn't happening the first half of the year.
I said this. When he won in 2020, it was more because I didn't know he ran. This was his third time running.
Mm-hmm.
So when he won, in my head I said, "This is for this election is for you. We're giving you your flowers. You knocking out a guy that me personally I think should have never been in the White House. Period. But in 4 years, I think somebody should have went to him and said, "Look, appreciate you, take it, but in 4 years, that black woman you made your VP, she's gonna be our candidate." Because in my head, and this is me speaking, this is that boy Florida speaking, not the Cal podcast, not Sir One Plus. I said she would have won. She would give the Democrat Party 8 years.
Yeah,
And
you
then
know
whoever next. Well, excuse me, let me just stop right there. That'd have been Biden for her 8. That'd have been 12 years that you could have did something.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The crazy thing about that, man, like, not to get too far off track, is like Joe Biden is like 81, and it's like, bro, you not only do you not want to retire, you want like the hardest job in the world on purpose. Like you want like, and I feel like if I'm that man's wife, I'm looking at him like, yo, let's go live our twilight. Let's go ride off into the sunset.
Right, ride off into the sunset. You did something that people wanted. You became something that you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Man, go out on a high note. When that debate happened, I just told people straight up, look, I ain't voting for that. I'm still not voting for Trump. I don't give a damn what happened. But I do know it was a lot of people who looked at that debate was like, he's old and fragile. But I'm like, he's old and fragile, but the guy next to him ain't no better. So tell me, like, what, like, literally, it's 2 bowls of shit that you got to go into the booth. Which one smell better to you, to be honest with you? Because they both shit.
I saw a tweet after that debate. Somebody said they vote for Joe Biden in hospice before they voted for Donald Trump, and that was essentially, how I felt, at the time. Man, crazy thing enough, man, my favorite day living in DC was the day that they called that election for Joe Biden. I was out in Virginia, like hiking, and when the news like hit to everybody's phone, you could hear people on the trail start yelling and stuff. And then I got back to the city, and people are like bumping "Fuck Donald Trump," the YG and Nipsey song down the street at ridiculously high volume. So like it was a celebration out here.
Yeah, because even if you just look at it, he's not running to be president of the United States. He's not running for the Republican. He's not even running for MAGA. This man is running to save his tail, to get rid of 2 cases that he know that he get. One, going on with Fannie Williams, I still don't know how they dropped the ball dealing with that. like dealing with that whole situation. But like he's not running for anything that's going to help the country. It's for him. Now, once again, this is me talking. When he dropped out, he put that letter. And he said, first of all, I want to thank him for nominating her because it could have went a whole different route because everybody was talking about what's my guy in California, the governor.
People were saying open convention before. They were like, we just gonna go in and hash it out on national television.
I heard Newsom.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I want to say the guy in Pennsylvania. I can't think his name, but the one they thought Shapiro.
Yeah.
I heard those two pop up, but then you're right. I did hear somebody having an open convention, which I thought was going to be stupid anyways.
Yeah, it'd have been good TV. It'd been phenomenal television.
It'd have been phenomenal TV, and it would have been a whole shit show.
Yeah,
ratings would have been great.
Mm-hmm.
Ratings would be great, but as well, let me just get straight to it. How do you feel that having a black woman run for president is the country ready for that?
We're gonna have to be. I feel like we gotta be. The man on the other side, and I think, man, outside of identity issues, man, we're talking about basic competence where, at any other job, man, they walking this man out with his, they're not even gonna give you the box. They're gonna mail you your stuff home. At any other job, all the people that didn't work for you from your number 2 on down and say you don't deserve to be here, you don't have the competence to be here. Former aides saying we couldn't put one page of information in front of you because you wouldn't read it. This man out here on national television talking about migrants are eating dogs and cats and shit, and this is what passes for a presidential contender. And the sad part is that this election is still going to be much closer than it deserves to be.
Yeah. It's gonna be like I'm looking at maybe 150 million people gonna cast a vote. Because I think he got what 70 million.
He got votes? 75. I think he got he got the second most votes in the history of presidential elections. Joe Biden got the most with 81. But yeah, this is gonna be close. Trump is not a guaranteed loser right now. Like all the polls,
I'm not even looking at the polls. And what happened with Hillary, everybody was talking about, it's in the bag. It's in the bag. There's no way she's going to lose. It's in the bag. It's in the bag. And then you wake up, the 45th president of the United States is Donald Trump.
I went to sleep that election night. I was like, it's going to be over early. And I woke up at like 1 o'clock. I was living in Dallas and turned the TV on and shook my head and turned TV back off and went to sleep.
Bro, when I saw all these states was turning red, this state for Trump, this state for Trump, I'm looking at it. I didn't know much about the Electoral College in the 270, but I can see states that are red that they're counting for him. I'm like, it's only but 12 states left. It is no way this lady finna win this election this night.
Yeah.
Even if they recount it, it might be even worse. And that's the night I got involved with politics. That's the night I started watching Fox News, MSNBC, CNN. I started listening to Roland Martin more. I started listening to other people talk about politics because I still couldn't understand how did this son of a bitch became president of the United States. When was that moment like for you? When did you really just jump into politics like that?
So I've been around politics since 2000. I've always kind of been interested. But like work-wise around like 2009, I worked for Congress for a little bit. So yeah, I've done stuff from the federal level on down. So like I could talk to you about the importance of government and our participation.
The floor is yours. The floor is yours. Let's go.
So, man, the things that people sleep on the most are the local races, right? And that is kind of the danger of people being disillusioned with like the top of the ticket and deciding that they're not going to vote. is that you leave stuff blank, like your school board and your city council and your state legislators. So like we talking about the folks that make sure that your trash is picked up, that your schools are equitably funded, all of the things that affect you right outside your window. And you see that now in Florida. They banning all these books and stuff. Like all of that stuff is the
No shit.
local list of the local levels. And
No
I
shit,
tell
man.
people, all the time, man, it takes millions of votes to flip the White House. So like, yes, that feels like a really tall task. It takes dozens or hundreds of votes to change out your school board, or your city council.
And that's why ever since I did start paying the politics, excuse me, I've been paying more to my district. Like I know who my district councilman is, Jabbar Gaffney. I'm part of District 9.
Nice.
I went in. I try to go see him as much as I can because he's doing so much in our community. Like we get tearing down a lot of abandoned buildings.
Mhm.
They are trying to what's the word they've been saying with the neighborhood, gentrify,
Yeah,
but
gentrification.
it ain't gonna work. We straight hood over here. When them white people come, they leave. They
But
don't
you know
even
what,
stay
man?
long.
We deserve nice stuff too. Like it shouldn't take like white folks having to come in and like buy up our stuff. Like we deserve green spaces and parks and
But
nice apartments.
you're right. But it's like, why did it take so long?
Absolutely.
Why did it take so long? Like we've been had abandoned buildings. We've been like I tell people all the time. I grew up. The dope house was excuse me, 2 blocks. It was across the street, but 2 houses down. The prostitute house was on 22nd Street. Um, there's so much stuff like walking home. You gotta like I know what crack smell like.
Mhm.
Not because I've done it. I smelled it so much.
Right.
So why did it take so long? Like we could have, like even if you keep the old houses, you could have renovated them inside.
Hmm.
And I've seen so many houses that look like trash on the outside, but inside look like a new apartment they built in downtown.
Yeah. Man, to quote, I think the title of an essay that Ta-Nehisi Coates wrote a while ago, that the ghetto is public policy. Like this is all government deciding where they're gonna build, what they're gonna allow to fall apart. The middle class was created by the government, man, through the white middle class anyway. Low interest loans or out and out just giving away. So all of these are um decisions that are intentionally made. If enough of us get involved, we can make sure that there are different decisions made. And to bring this back, like to even to like the sex and stuff. The wild thing now is in some states you gotta upload your ID to look at porn in like certain states now. So like when people think that government is not in like every aspect of your life, like it is. Like it is very difficult to
They
live
trying in
full off
Florida
the
so
grid.
hard. They
Yeah,
trying in Florida so hard, but it ain't working.
yeah,
So it's like I seen it pop up, and I just like, you know what, I'll wait. 2 days
yeah.
later, go back up there, right back on Spank Back, like it
Yeah,
ain't
and
nothing.
not all the sites are compliant, but that's like a wild thing, and I don't know if you've seen in Project 2025, 922-page document, page 5, I believe it is, in the foreword, they literally say pornography should be outlawed and basically the content creators should be thrown in jail.
So let me just say this, and this is me speaking. Sorry, this is not you. It is $1 billion industry.
I agree.
You really think that industry is going to go? The people who created Project 2025 was watching porn. It's watching porn right
Right
now.
now.
Right now. And you really think they're going to get rid of that? It is $1 billion industry.
It is. You know what, man? But I don't even want them to get in the power to try. At
I
one point.
got to cut you off. I'm going to cut you off because even if they do,
Mhm.
I guarantee you, it's still going to pop. It's still going to go off. It's still going to continue.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it's once again, it's naked. It's more between toward naked women in a fantasy. You think them politicians ain't running hookers and all that other stuff, and when they can't get to their hooker, they prostitute or they side chick that live in DC, what's the next best thing? Porn.
Yeah. Oh, they get it however they can, but like I'm not trying, and it's a lot of us, as you know from doing this show. It's a lot of us that make porn as well. We gonna be the first ones on the first experimental cases for this, and it's already, I'm sure you may have talked about this with guests before. It's already pressure on credit card companies to not process for sex work, and folks are struggling to get bank accounts. Like I don't want anybody else trying to do stuff to sex workers to make life harder for them. Will they succeed? Probably not. I think folks are gonna make what they're gonna make, but like we also remember there was a point in our lifetime where if you ain't had no plane ticket, you could go through security at the airport and meet people at the gate. Like that, stuff has changed. And stuff can change. We're having this conversation on 9/11, and stuff, our lives have radically been different after 9/11 2001. So I'd never say never on any of this stuff.
I can't see it. If it do, it's gonna be one of those things like, well, I'll be damned. They did it.
Yeah.
So let me ask this question, and as I'm getting more deep into it because Black men.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think we are more in tune with this election? And the reason why I ask this question, because the reason why he won in 2016 is because a lot of Black men voted for him, not because they liked him. They just couldn't see a woman being the president of the United States of America.
So I think, yes, this is like a yes and sort of question. Yes, Trump did better with Black men than I think any other Republican president since probably ever. And he did not do particularly well. We are very loud. We are very vocal demographic of people. In any so two things. We talk about Black women being the backbone of the Democratic Party. The second most loyal voting bloc for Democratic Party is Black men. Like it's us. With any other demographic of people, if you are a political strategist and you win 70, 85, 90% of the demographic, you're a genius. You win 50, Trump won, I think, 25%. You win 25% of any other demographic, they are walking you out of the door. And you are horrible at your job. The problem is not Black men voting for Trump, at a 20% rate, although I find that to be terrible. Trump won white women in 2016. Like the Democrats would not have to get damn near 100% of the Black vote in every election if they didn't get blown out with white voters in every election. But I do think that we absolutely need to have conversations with our brothers just for the sake of getting folks information and getting folks organized and getting folks informed on what is at stake. So I'm not saying that we need to toss these folks out. I'm saying it's not, Black men are not going to put Trump over the top, primarily because, number one, in a lot of the places that we are, that Black folks are in, like these are deeply red states, in the places that we have a decent share of the vote. Like we're gonna win in states that actually count. I think Harris is gonna run away with the vote. This is gonna come down to and I think we're seeing higher, at least higher voter registration among Black folks. But I think a lot of this is gonna come down to, what are white women going to do when they get in that voting booth, and what are white men going to do? Because, we had there was the white dudes for Harris call. There was the white women for Harris call. In a close election, white folks are the largest voting bloc by leaps and bounds. So if Harris improves on Biden's rate or Hillary's rate, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, you increase your share of white men by 3 points, 5 points, 10 points. You increase among you and white women, or even you keep those numbers even close. Then that 20% of black men is not a conversation on November 6th.
Boy, you sound like a true politician, because you sound just like them. What's my man on with the khaki pants?
Steve Kornacki on the board.
Yeah, because he was like, yeah, 'cause if Kamala Harris can get at least she don't have to get 80. All she had to do is get 8% more. Like, you sound just like them. Just look, and the crazy part about it, little numbers like that are just a jump, not no big number, 30 or 40, just 15% more.
Yeah,
she can win the election in a landslide.
Handedly. I mean, but those are, I mean, the facts are what they are. Those are white men and white women are the largest voting blocks in the country. I think it's like it's some like 60, it's either somewhere in the neighborhood of like 60 to 75 or so percent of the election, I think. And nationally speaking. But again, you keep that close. And then you look at what Democrats have historically done with people of color. Again, it's a landslide election in the other direction.
All right, I got 3 more questions.
Okay.
These are some hard-hitting questions because I just got to know. First question. With everybody talking about black people and black people this, which I know it probably won't happen because we just don't know how to organize. Do we, as black people, should start our own party? And can it be organized?
No. I think that, so number one, simple mathematics, man. We 13% of the population. That is not if 100% of black people voted for the black party, and maybe we get a couple percentage points of some other folks who are down with us, we are still losing every election of consequence. And kind of in this winner takes all 2-party system, we are going to end up with all of the stuff that we don't want, which is folks that are coming after your porn and folks that are erasing our curriculums from the school. We simply, the math is simply not on our side here. What I would say for black folks that are that want to be politically active, that like for real want to be politically active, is run for the lowest levels of stuff. Run for city council, run for your school board, run for your state legislature, and work your way up through that system, and bring other folks with you on the way. Because you can't do anything, running is one thing. Governing is a whole nother matter. And we simply do not have, the math is just not on our side in terms of starting a new party.
First, on when is the election? November
5th.
11? November 5th.
Fifth.
November 5th. Vice President Kamala Harris, if she is elected, she will be the first female president. If she is elected, she'll be the first black female president. If she is elected, what would that moment, what would that day, what would that time, what would be the next 4 years? What would that mean to you as a black man?
I think one, hopefully it'd be the end of Donald Trump. Let's get that out of the way. Hopefully that would be the last that we see. It'd be somebody else that'll be terrible later. I think for me, I don't think a Harris win is so much for me, so much as it is for our sisters, honestly, for my niece, for my mother who's about to turn 71, and my aunties, getting to see somebody that looks like them, regardless of how the policies are. Because I feel like we get November 5th and we get Inauguration Day to celebrate before the work starts. But for black women to see somebody that looks like them take the highest job, in the land, because I remember how I felt in 2008, and less so,
Bruh,
less so in
bruh,
2012. But like, I want
bruh,
to have that moment too. Like,
bruh. We threw a Obama party that night for $2 because it was on Tuesday.
yeah.
We made $5,000 a night, bruh. I don't mean to cut you off, but I always tell this story. My grandma called me
Hmm.
when he won, crying.
Yeah.
That she said she never thought that she'd see a black man being president. The
That's
first
real.
time I ever voted was for Barack Obama. I was in Louisiana. I had to go get my address changed because I was in school.
Hmm.
My grandma called me boo-hoo crying. She told me, baby, if a black man could be the president of the United States, you could be whatever you want to be. And
That's
I'm like,
real.
Grandma, you so right, but I'm trying to get to this party real quick. Like,
Yeah. So
but I still, my grandma passed away in 2014. I still got the newspaper article the next
Mhm.
day. No, not the next day when he got inaugurated because she kept it in a cover in a
Mhm.
suitcase. I still have that cover in suitcase to this day.
Yeah, so I want that for them. Like I'm gonna be happy on election night for sure, but I want to see the joy um from our sisters. Like that is gonna be, the thing that like really hits me in the chest is like seeing them happy and remembering how it was when we got our moment.
November 5th is midnight. And you hear these words. The next president for the second time in the United States is the 47th president. Also was the 45th president. I got to take you there. What is that feeling going to be like? Or are you even going to have any feeling?
I'm doing all the drugs on November 5th. If Donald Trump, I'm doing all the drugs on the 5th, and I will wake up on the 6th and probably do some more drugs and then figure out what's next. But yeah, Donald Trump, if it even looks like Trump is up, like I'm gonna be smoking on election night and probably drinking too.
Bruh, if it wasn't for who was it? Not Van. Bakari saying, "Hey guys," on his Instagram, chill out. We
Hmm.
still ain't count the mail-in ballots. I was like, okay, we still got a shot because that night I
Yeah.
was like, I'd be down. This man gonna be president again. So, um, sir, I'm just letting you know now it's gonna be a part two
Oh yeah, looking forward to it.
because I know my homegirl she gonna have some more sexual questions. And then hopefully we get you on before October to talk more about it because I really have more questions about the debate, but I just didn't want to hold up your time.
Oh yeah, yeah. No,
But
I'm happy to come back.
we're definitely gonna get you back, my brother. This has been an honor and a privilege because once again, like these conversations that I want to have, it's crazy that they say speak things into existence, and somehow, some way you find them. Like I literally wanted to talk about this election, especially with the debate, and also that Joe Biden dropped out, and then we got Vice President Kamala Harris, and then all of a sudden somebody repost Joe post said who's doing podcasts, and here we are. Like my brother, like I really appreciate this. We do got Cal podcast questions, but I'm just gonna save it when she get on.
Okay, no, I'm looking forward. And we'll definitely come back.
But this part, we give you the flow. Say what you want to say. Promote what you want to promote. The floor is yours.
Man, again, check me out on Instagram, at the one surplus, the number one, and just yeah, the one surplus, on TikTok at the same handle as well. Again, man, if y'all are interested in kink, find you some reputable folks, find you some classes to attend, hire somebody that can walk you through it. Read as much as you can. There's a lot of dope podcasts out there. There's a lot of viewing material. Read and study before you start doing stuff. Because again, if you don't know, you don't know what you don't know. And you for real can get hurt if you don't know what you're doing.
Sir One. Oh, excuse me. Let me make sure I got his Instagram correct. The Sir One Plus. Make sure
Shout
y'all
out.
go.
The number one, the one surplus.
Say it one more time for the people. Right. Matter of fact, do this. Say it and point down. I'm gonna put it under you on the video.
All right, it's THE the number one SIRPLUS.
Hey, listen, make sure y'all go check it out. It was a lot of stuff on there. A lot of stuff on there. A lot of stuff. Like, if you into that stuff, like, please go follow him. My guy, I do appreciate, just letting you know now. I done said it like 3 times. There is a part 2. We're gonna get Quita on because Quita is freaky and nasty, and when she see you, she gonna be so enjoying, and she gonna have questions because I ain't gonna say I ain't gonna mess it up. I'm gonna let her do it, but appreciate you getting on. For those who wondering, yes, I do have a Kamala t-shirt done by Kent Creation. Make sure y'all go follow her. She's also making these and selling these, so if you have a certain design that you want, she will do it. Now she does the other guy because she is into making money. So if you want to reach out by that, please do. She might not like him, but for $50 she'll make you a shirt.
That's real. But
So
yeah, tell your co-host, man, if we ever in the same place, man, we could do a demo or something. But looking forward to that conversation as well.
look, we sir, I said I wanted to do more live shows. This year we done 3. Hopefully we can get 2 more in before the new year, but don't tempt me now. I get on the flight. I done bought all this equipment because I said I wanted to prepare us for it. Bro, you if I see a deal and it's near you, sir, I'll be there in January.
I would say,
Set it up.
I mean, inauguration is gonna be heavy, but you got Exotica Expo in December. They do one in Miami too, which is closer to y'all, but Exotica in December is a really dope time. They have a little media section too.
Before we get in, I gotta ask you this question.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna say this. So swingers.
Okay.
Do they come out? Do they approach you about doing shows and stuff like that? Or have you been invited to a swinger party for the people to see to get involved?
So I have done in full disclosure, I do not identify as a swinger. Nothing wrong with swinging. That's just
Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it.
my lane for a number of reasons. So we have some spaces here, which they call swing, which is like a mix of swing and kink. So we have some parties in this region where you get a little bit of everything. So like I love a swing party. I've done a lot of those. I've worked a couple of them as well.
I got Surplus in the cab. My guy, once again, thank you for getting on. It's gonna be a part 2. Like I always said, we're gonna get better and do better. And to everybody else, y'all have a good night. Look forward to doing the part 2.
G14 classified. That's good.
Headline, Starlight.
DJ Star.
I ain't giving a fuck, but you know it's go. Long need drug, keep turning me up. I ain't giving a fuck, but you know it's go.